It was on the way. It wasn't true.
I just wanted some help, and no doctor came, and I was just getting more and more frantic because he couldn't move without having so much pain. So at the finish, I just couldn't wait any longer. I couldn't put him through anymore. So that's when I called the ambulance at 6:30, and that was 9 hours after my first phone call to them.
I consider them to be extremely negligent and very impersonal to people who are suffering. And I wouldn't call again, and I would recommend people don't bother.
It's the latest in a series of complaints against TCN. An investigation by the Care Quality Commission was launched after David Gray from Cambridge was given a fatal dose of diamorphine. German locum Dr. Daniel Urbani, who'd administered it, was given a suspended jail sentence. Suffolk's Health Scrutiny Committee is carrying out its own investigations into out-of-hours cover.
At the moment, NHS Suffolk are looking at various people who've applied and will be awarding a new contract in mid-December. And I think unless Take Care Now can really step up their service, then I don't see that their contract can be continued.
In a statement, TCN says it had to deal with an unprecedented number of calls on Saturday. It says nothing can excuse the length of time Mr. and Mrs. Stemmer had to wait to be seen by a doctor, particularly given the repeated calls to our service. It says it can assure the couple we're determined to understand what happened and eliminate the possibility of it happening again. But Annette Stemmer is in no doubt. From now on, if her husband needs urgent attention, she'll call an ambulance. They both lost their trust in TCN. Kim Riley, BBC Look East, Ipswich Hospital.
Well, Take Care Now is contracted to provide an out-of-hours service by NHS Suffolk, which has released the following statement. We would like to reassure all patients that we have put in place a number of measures to ensure that out-of-hours GP services put the safety of patients first. We continue to monitor the overall standards of the service closely. If you've used out-of-hours services and have a story to tell, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us by phone or via the website.
The crew of the East Anglian Air Ambulance was attacked during a rave on Saturday. 500 people had got together at Bodney near Thetford before moving on to Feltwell. The police have described the behaviour of some ravers as reckless and irresponsible.
A disused barn transformed into a place to party, an illegal rave with hundreds of young people taking part. Just look at the number of vehicles parked up. Billed as a Halloween party, news of the event had spread. But during the rave, one of those taking part was seriously injured. The East Anglian Air Ambulance was called, and shockingly, the crew was attacked.
They started getting pelted by cans and bottles and so on. The pilot actually went off and remonstrated with some of the individuals who thankfully stopped doing it. But yeah, very unfortunate incident and very, very saddening and really almost sickening really in terms of people trying to help individuals getting treated and abused in this way.
Police officers from Suffolk were drafted in to help, and on Sunday the rave was finally broken up, much to the amusement of these two. But the police insist they should be taken seriously.
It's dangerous, it causes disruption and distress to local people, and as could be seen in the events at the weekend, the events are unlicensed and they're dangerous. And there's no excuse for these events to take place, and we will always do our utmost to prosecute those involved.
The police stopped 150 vehicles, made a number of arrests, and a large quantity of sound equipment was seized. Amelia Reynolds, BBC Look East.
The Conservative leader David Cameron has backed one of the region's parliamentary candidates after it was revealed she'd had an affair with a married MP several years ago. Elizabeth Truss was selected to represent South West Norfolk on Saturday, but tonight an emergency meeting has been called to decide whether she should be sacked as a candidate. Our political correspondent Andrew Sinclair is outside the meeting in Swaffham. What's this all about, Andrew?
Well, Susie, Elizabeth Truss is a London councillor. She is the Deputy Director of a social policy think tank. She's an A-list Conservative candidate. She's exactly the sort of person David Cameron would like to see in Parliament. And she was the overwhelming choice of members here when they selected her on Saturday. But within an hour of her being selected, journalists started contacting the association saying didn't you know that she was involved in a high-profile affair with a married MP 5 years ago? Well, many of the membership didn't, and that's what's angered them. Not the fact that she had the affair, but that she didn't talk about it or mention it when she was being interviewed.
So why didn't she tell them?
Well, let me just warn you, there's some pictures coming up now which involve flash photography, because Elizabeth Truss arrived here just over an hour ago and she's now meeting with the party executive, and she is telling them that the reason she didn't mention it was that it was in the past. She says it was many years ago, the affair is in the public domain, anyone can look it up on the internet, and she just didn't think it was now a big deal. That's why she didn't mention it. Now, that may sound fair enough in most professions, but remember, we're talking about politicians here, who at the moment are expected to be whiter than white, and that's why many members here are quite angry.
So what's your feeling, Andrew? Will they deselect her?
Well, certainly last night when I spoke to members here, the general feeling was it was about 50-50 whether she would go. Then this morning we had this intervention from the Conservative leader, David Cameron.
This information that's come out was publicly known about, and I very much hope they can just get on with this selection that they've made and give her the support that she deserves and make sure that she is elected as the next Member of Parliament for South West Norfolk.
And that's very significant. David Cameron could easily have stayed out of this. He's making it very clear he wants her to be selected. He wants her to stay on here. So I think what will happen is she'll probably get wrapped over the knuckles tonight, and that'll be it. But having said that, constituency parties sometimes like to be independent. They may just decide to throw her out.
Andrew, thank you very much.
Well, still to come, the first look inside a new multi-million-pound super club, the first in the country.